Here's a woman from a white picket fence neighborhood washing the feet of like a criminal alien migrant, right, that broke into our country.
Whoa, holy moly. How's that for a brigade of bad assumptions?
And I very vehemently dislike it, in fact.
And I vehemently dislike how this dude says vehemently.
I mean, it seems pretty simple. Christ didn't teach tolerance.
Well, he kind of did though, didn't he? Turn the other cheek and all.
Okay, so let's read the Bible as it is.
If you insist. Fine. Let's open it. Why hello my fellow apes, I hope you are well. Your messages have been received. My inbox has been flooded recently with news of the Christian right going bananas over a Super Bowl ad. Now I first thought, this really doesn't concern me, but with Christians on the left and right tearing each other apart, well, I think it's time to take a look. The ad that's shattering Christ flakes is from a Christian group called He Gets Us, and it consists of several still images of people washing other people's feet. And it's fair to say that it's expressing a political statement. Here's one of the images, in which a white cop is washing a black guy's feet in a rough alley. Here's another one with someone suffering from alcohol addiction, another with a Muslim couple being welcomed, and another with a typical dude washing the feet of a more feminine-looking person. And the message, the punchline, is that Jesus didn't teach hate. No, he washed feet. So, with the context in place, let's see what Benny Boy makes of this ad, huh?
So why are so many Christians, a lot of them who I deeply respect, and probably have far more theological knowledge than I do, like, hate this ad? Well, because actually, while Christ did wash feet and didn't teach hate, Christ also didn't teach tolerance. This is really important.
You're saying the quiet part out loud there, Benny. At least your quiet part out loud. Because there's a strong case to be made that Jesus did indeed teach tolerance. Here, I'll give you a few examples from the book that you mentioned. In Luke 10:25 through 37, Jesus used the example of a Samaritan, a group often despised by the Jews of his time, as a model for neighborly love and compassion, teaching that kindness should extend beyond boundaries. You know, such as that screenshot in the ad of a Christian washing the feet of a foreigner. Jesus interacted with many marginalized groups, such as tax collectors, women, the poor, and the sick, as exemplified in passages like Luke 19:1 through 10, with Zacchaeus, John 4:1 through 42, with the Samaritan woman, the Beatitudes in Matthew 5:1 through 12, and Mark 1:40 through 45, in which he heals a leper. Jesus was radically inclusive in contrast to the societal norms of his time. Oh, and of course, how can we forget Matthew 5:44, in which Jesus says, love your enemies?
Christ went and hung out with like very unpopular people, prostitutes, tax collectors, but he didn't do that in order to compliment them or to embrace or affirm their sinful lifestyles. He did that to correct them.
Benny, how is being a native Indian a lifestyle? And what part of washing someone's feet is a corrective action? Is it the little toe? Look, I don't have a foot in the race, but I don't think that the verse you're referring to here is a particularly corrective one. A plain reading of John 13:5 through 16 details Jesus revealing that he will be betrayed and that his apostles need to care for each other as he has done for them. More to the point, this advert is not suggesting that Jesus affirms of the lifestyles of those depicted having their feet washed, but rather it is a commentary on the compassion of Christ, something sorely, grossly even, lacking from Christians like you.
Like, Jesus Christ did not preach tolerance. What this ad, to me, seems to be projecting is that everything is permissible.
Again, showing someone compassion doesn't mean endorsing everything about them. The person who's showing compassion and washing the feet of the person who's an alcoholic, it doesn't mean that they endorse the alcoholism.
And that everyone's lifestyle and every choice, sinful or not, is to be not only appreciated, but to be encouraged and celebrated, no matter how nihilistic or selfish or degenerate or sinful it is.
What's selfish about that black guy who's presumably living on the streets, Benny? How is showing love and care for someone who's suffering from drug addiction encouraging and celebrating their behaviour? Whatever happened to loving your neighbour, my dude? Why are the most aggressive, confident Christians like this? What gives? Does taking too much Jesus juice make you insufferable? Are they pumping ecstasy into the churches or something?
I mean, there's literally a woman at an abortion clinic, which is murder, okay? That is what it is, okay? That's the way I see it. That's the way my religion sees it.
Does it now? Really? Or are you, Benny, ironically enough, listening to pastors who have made their scripture fit their own narrative?
That's what the 10 Commandments say, way back in the old books.
All right, let's get into the old books, the books that you treat like a cafeteria. In Numbers 5:11 through to 28, the ordeal of bitter water gives instructions for how a priest should administer an abortion to an unfaithful woman. So, I think you might want to take another look at the old books. But don't worry, you can ignore the clear endorsements of slavery, how Leviticus tells you, for instance, where to get your slaves from, and that you can hand them down as property. You can pick and choose any of the verses you like, just as you accuse other Christians of doing.
So what it really seems like to me is that these are leftists that are engaging in hearsay.
Hold on. Did you mean to say heresy?
That are engaging in hearsay.
He did. He meant to say heresy, but he said hearsay.
Bastardizing the teachings of the church for their own political ends.
You know, I'd say there's some truth to what you're saying here, Benny, just as you do precisely the same. You're all casting stones as if you're without sin. And you're all conveniently forgetting that from Clement of Rome to Origen of Alexandria, to Augustine of Hippo to Martin Luther King, every generation of Christians create Christianity in its own image, all with the confidence and fervor of their predecessors.
Here's the actual webpage. How did the story of a man who taught and practiced unconditional love become associated with hatred and oppression of so many people? This is like leftist swill propaganda. This is agitprop.
Agitprop? Really? Compassion is communism now. For sake.
This has no place in the church. This is actually, like, reading this now for the first time, like, this is actually hearsay.
Okay, he did mispronounce heresy. He did, because he just said hearsay again.
This is actually hearsay.
It seems like these people are manipulating the soft hearts and minds of a weakened Christian church in order to further divide the country and usurp the actual teachings of the Bible. You should be deeply wary of it.
I'll tell you what you should be deeply worried of. And it's people like Benny, who, while accusing Christians of manipulating your soft and weakened heart and mind, is himself manipulating you. He is selling a story of war, a story of a holy fight against the evils of, well, compassion. So there you have it. Once again, we see Christian love being oh so spiteful. Brilliant stuff. It never ceases to amaze me. Well done.
Do not sin, please.